at 6 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. Roll call of members, all council members are present with the exception of Mr. Kenny Allison, who's on the road right now and may join us later. I have no amendments to the agenda. Do I have an approval of the agenda? Is it? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is the minutes from September 18th. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
After Mr. Williams.
Yeah, just one correction, or not really correction, but just an addition for Heather. Under the section where we talk about approving the special event permit for the Bike Fest, I wanted to mention in there that I had concerns about whether if they could meet the 6-month time frame or not, the Chamber of Commerce. That's all I had. Other than that, I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All in favor of the minutes for September 18th?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, next up is council member liaison and commission report, and I'll start with Dr. Sullivan.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, it is homecoming week at the school, and there are lots of activities going on. I hope you get a chance to go to the football game this Thursday or Friday, Robin? Friday
7
night.
p.m.
Yeah, Friday night, and they will, you'll be able to see the new concession stand. So really good stuff going on in the schools, nothing else to report.
Ms. Brown?
Good evening. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of what Ms. Sullivan said. You can also purchase tickets for the football games online. So for those of you who may not have a high school student or a student in the school system who are curious about that, you can buy them actually online as well. So just a heads up on that. 2 quick notes. One, I'll mention our next meeting, but the National Night Out was moved to October 29th. It's rescheduled due to the weather. So we'll get to celebrate October 29th. And the last thing I have is the Colonial Beach Fire Department. Not this Saturday, next Saturday, the 14th, is doing a steamed shrimp fundraiser. I already ordered 4 pounds. I did it in July when they did it as well. They are like the big size Carolina good shrimp. So they're not like the little frozen kind they steam. They're really good big shrimp. So if you want to help the fire department raise some money, it's also during bike weekend. So if you're having people in town, get some shrimp from them. And I'm probably forgetting something, but I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Wood?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, it was a great homecoming parade. Little Lorraine never keeps the drifters down, so we all had a great time. A couple of things I did want to address. On social media, there was concern because the River Keepers had released a report that our beach, as well as 12 others, did not meet the requirements to swim. Wanted to point out that had nothing to do with what came from our wastewater treatment plant. As I said, there were 12 other places that didn't meet those requirements, and the River Keepers themselves covered that act. There was a concern, some of the citizens got groundwater, and I'm going to ask Mr. Rugby to address that directly, if you would, sir.
More than happy to. So in preparation for a flushing program, we were inspecting fire hydrants for functionality and maintenance, so that fire department knows the fire hydrants are in good shape as well. And updating our inventory of our fire hydrants that need to be replaced or repaired. Due to the fact that we were opening the fire hydrants, the increased velocity in the pipeline stirred up some sediment, which we're gonna have a little sediment in the water because we draw from wells, so we get a little groundwater sediment. The system was still disinfected with being chlorinated. When we do initiate the flushing program, we'll give a 24-hour notice before that is done, and when that program is finished and ready to be done, it'll be monthly. We will do sections of town strategically.
Okay, so from this point, first of all, it was not dangerous to our citizens.
I'm sorry.
And secondly, from this point forward, we're gonna be able to make sure that people are aware and everybody goes through that. Yeah, the other thing, the concern about the beach closure, brought to light a very good point. So from this point, the monthly utility report from Imboden will be available on the town's website, and we're actually gonna hop back to next month as well. And that report's going to include the water report, so everyone's gonna be able to see in real time what that situation is, so that, we don't have to do any guesswork. Yeah, we all were concerned when we had the problems with the wastewater treatment plant. We made a lot of steps forward and want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of what's going on. As far as public, works went, sewer lateral repairs, we're taking care of, some water leaks, as you might imagine. A lot of ditch work done, and of course, there was assistance with Imboden, with maintenance at the wastewater treatment plant. So that's what I've got for this week.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple updates. We haven't had a planning commission since last meeting, so nothing to report there, except for our joint meeting that happened tonight. And then for the Colony Beach Housing Redevelopment Authority, they had their meeting on the 19th, and we gave some of their typical things like their treasury report. They didn't have anything to report this time around. I believe they still have about 10,000 in the bank, what I can remember from last time. Let's see, they discussed some different topics, but one of the main things that they wanted me to actually bring to council, and I've already brought this up with the town manager, assistant town manager during our one-on-one yesterday, was the fire rescue squad, or the rescue squad building. As everybody here knows, they're raising funds to build a building, and one of the things that I'm not sure, I guess because the Colony Beach Redevelopment Housing Authority has land, I guess that's how they got brought into this, but they mentioned that there's a lot of money out there through I think, I can't remember the organization, I think it was USDA or something like that, up to 75% grants possibly. But the stipulation with those is that you have to own the land. So they're looking, from what I've gathered, looking for land. And I'm not sure if there's any possibility for the council to address at some point, maybe the land we originally leased, that maybe there would be some sort of a possibility of donating it versus lease. But anyway, just something they're talking about. And like I said, they were brought into it because of the fact that they own a piece of land, but I'm not sure if that's really a great location. As most of you know, it's on 205 with the big sign advertisement as you come into town. So I'm not sure, but there's no water, sewer there, and it's in the county, so it may not be the ideal location, but something for everybody to put on the radar. And I know we're going to get an update at some point in the future from Ms. Tucker. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'm going to ask for your assistance.
Okay.
Sally has sent me everything that's going on this phone. My feeble eyes do not see as well as yours.
I can read that anyway, it's so
Thank you.
small.
But I know she's told us about National Night Out, which is the 29th. And then the homecoming parade and different things like that, but she's got it all in there. It's just our phones are extremely small.
I would just say,
So next meeting,
yes, this is public information though, and it should be on our website, is from the Connector newsletter that Parks and Rec puts out. So if you go on the website, you can check out all the Parks and Rec updates on the Connector newsletter
and there's a lot of them.
and the text on your phone. So maybe look at it on your computer.
with Steph. Thank you.
I wanted to just thank the Chamber of Commerce and the National Honor Society and BAM for hosting the candidates forum at the elementary school, and a big thank you to all of the candidates who were there. I think it's was very well attended and a wonderful opportunity for local residents to get to meet their local candidates. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that.
Thank you for the radio station.
And,
those of us
yeah.
who could listen to it, even though we couldn't get there.
Many people did listen online or on their radio on WWER 88.1, and it's still on their website. So if you missed it, you can listen to it online on WWER.org.
Anybody know? Does anybody know if the video is available? Because I hadn't seen
It
it.
is not, there was no video.
I am working to get it up, and a video that I did uploaded, but YouTube is being very difficult right now with the file size. We can get past technical difficulties. It can't stream in the school because of the firewall. We've always had issues with the digital firewall.
I got a few more things.
Okay,
Mayor,
sure.
National Night Out, October 29th. Second Friday Coffee Walk, October 11th at 8. Barbecue Cook-Off on Town Hill on the 5th. Bike Fest, of course, the 10th to the 13th. Beach to the Beer 5K and 10K run and 1 mile walk, October 19th. Starting at 9 a.m. I'll make sure she has all of these on the website.
Perfect.
I think that's all from Stephanie.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was contacted by our former council member, Tom Moncure, who sent a request from the Monroe Foundation, the James Monroe Foundation for the birthplace just outside of town limits. They are applying for a grant through BTC for the 250th anniversary celebration of our country. And so, and are requesting a letter of support, but also requesting to see if we are okay with being added to their long list of supportive partners on their grant application. So I just told them I would bring that up at council and see if there was any contention to being a supportive partner to the Monroe Foundation's application. There's no money obligation from us or anything to that nature, just kudos and supportive yes to that. Is there any concern about doing that?
I make a motion that we join them as signatories on the grant application as a partner.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. I'll make sure they get the letter by this Friday. We already mentioned homecoming is Friday. The game is 7 p.m. at the school. Please join us prior to that. Also, it's a ribbon cutting for the new bleachers, the concession stand and remodeled bathrooms and grandstand, which have all been needed to be replaced for quite some time. And I will tell you, I feel safer for our children to have that structure replaced. The school also hosted Delegate Kent and the Secretary of Education with a roundtable afterwards. I was there with the school board and superintendent. I was gonna say supervisor, superintendent. And congratulations to the police department. Yeah,
I forgot. That's not fair.
I thought you would say it, but you didn't, so I guess you said it. Yes, on keeping this community safer every day and just the teamwork that you all have in order to to do that. So just thank you very much for all your work every day, but especially when you're able to get drugs off the street. So appreciate it. Yeah.
So I just want to say to the folks at home, or in the audience who maybe don't have access to social media, the police department had a big, wonderful drug bust right here in our town. It was fabulous and it's great, great work. And I'm sorry for not mentioning it earlier. Thank you, Mayor, for reminding me.
I knew you were gonna want to say it. It's okay. And yes, we talked about National Night Out was postponed for rain. We didn't want Town Hill with the big trucks and all the equipment to put divots and mess up Town Hill right before Bike Fest, and we thought there was gonna be 2 inches of rain, so we're just trying to stay conscious of that of other events too. So it's moved to October 29th, and we'll hope for better weather, and I believe you can wear Halloween costumes at it now. That's what I saw most recently. All right. That's all I had. Our presentations, I asked. We're running a little bit fast today. Yay, you're right on time. Come on in. Let's give everybody a kidding mark. Okay, Miss Kitty. So I say Miss Kitty because I've called you Miss Kitty my entire life. She is retiring from the Cooper Branch Library here in Colonial Beach. And I would say has been there my entire life and is there for all of our children and families here that come to the library. 34 years at the library. And Kitty, in preparation for giving you an honor, I reached out to an old friend of both of ours, who has written in a letter, and I'd like to read it for you. I have known Kitty since our boys, Jason and Stefan, were in school together. I cannot begin to mention the many activities we have been involved in. To name a few: room mother, booster sales, class trips, scouts, cootie duty, popcorn sales, church activities, and the town library. I cannot think of a person more civic-minded and generous than Kitty. She has high morals, exhibits Christian living, and is loyal to her friends and family. Her family is most treasured by Kitty. She has done an exemplary job of maintaining and promoting the town library. Our community gained quite a valuable, dedicated, and loving individual when Kitty came to our town. I hope her retirement is enjoyable and full of many memories. I am blessed to call Kitty my friend and to share fond memories of the many times we have spent together. My best to you, Kitty. Susie Smith. Okay. Don't know, Susie also worked at the library for many, many, many years along with Kitty.
Yes, and Ms. Robertson knows about the community.
And Ms. Robertson was also on committee duty. Okay, so before I present it, I'm going to read your proclamation. Okay. All right, whereas Kitty Norris has dedicated 34 years of exceptional service to the Central Rappahannock Regional Library Cooper Branch as branch manager, fostering a love for reading and learning within our community. And whereas under her leadership, the library has thrived, implementing innovative programs, expanding resources, and enhancing accessibility for all patrons. And whereas Kitty has been a champion of literacy, advocating for the needs of our community and inspiring both staff and patrons alike. And whereas her unwavering commitment to excellence and passion for knowledge have left a lasting impact on our library and the families we serve. Now therefore, we, the Town Council of Colonial Beach, do hereby honor Kitty Norris for her years of service and express our deepest gratitude for her invaluable contributions to our community. We wish her a full and joyful future. Thank you.
The letter from Cindy.
Is that good?
Yes, it was.
Everybody got that, right?
That was good. Thank you, guys. It's been a very much a pleasure working in Colonial Beach and in the community, and I'm not.
I
gone,
can
but-
say, you'll still be
Yeah,
around,
I'll
right?
still be around. This is well. Thank you. Thank you very much. She went right back to work, didn't she? Yeah.
She retires at the end of this month. Or no, I guess the 14th like the middle. Okay, next up is public comment. I know we have had several emails in relating to the joint commission topics. We'll do anybody in person first, and then we'll go to email then. And that'll be their feedback.
First one up is Miss Linda Brubaker.
Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Again, thank you. At a prior town council meeting, you vaguely appeared to be apologizing for the letter you wrote to the Westmoreland County Court, asking for leniency for the individual who sent 2 of our police officers to the hospital. You never apologized, but instead you said that's what you did as mayor of Colonial Beach. I would have preferred to hear you say, oops, I goofed, and the apology given directly to the officers. This incident shows a huge failure of leadership. I come from a long line of first responders. Myself and others believe you betrayed those officers and that the betrayal is so large, you might have even considered stepping down. Given the many problems this town is facing, I find it alarming that you're dedicating not just a council work session, but also a joint meeting with the planning commission. Several of which, the items on the agenda, several of which few of the people see as a burning top priority. The planning commission has already voted on the FAR and the CIP, yet is being brought up again tonight. Could the FAR being discussed and asking to be voted on is because you own property not in compliance? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Next,
Miss Kelly Woods Vaughn.
welcome, Helen.
Good evening. Right, I have a little bit of a sore throat, so forgive me. I am here on behalf of the EDC. I'm Kelly Woods Vaughn. I live at 2 Kettle Bottom Way or Drive, Colonial Beach. Town council members and planning commission. Excuse me, good evening. There's been a lot of conversations and confusion around parking, mostly centered around where you can and cannot park and the cost. Both businesses, residents, and visitors are confused. Is there really a lack of parking or just a misunderstanding of where parking is? Now, on behalf of the Economic Development Committee, we ask that consideration be given to the review of the current parking amendment of Article 13 during this joint meeting. Within the amendment, the Planning Commission stated the intent was to improve upon the consistency, design, and function of off-street parking lots developed in town to promote the public's health, safety, and welfare. While this is an Economic Development Committee, we agree there is room for improvement in Article 13. We feel that the current amendment as written will deter expansion and improvement of current businesses. The establishment of future business and the intended desire to improve the walkability of the town. An example of deterrence would be the demand of an independent parking study from the business owners. Adding more dimensional restrictions as proposed within the amendment would be hindering our growth. Being flexible, having consistent processes, procedures, and clear authorities and decisions that would affect businesses and residents is crucial as we continue to grow as a community. We believe without an intended overhaul of Article 13, the current regulations could be amended modestly to address specific issues in modernized language. Some changes we recommend to the current parking Article 13 would be defining historical or established business category that will allow exemptions from updates to parking that could deter growth. Parking spaces in compliance with all ADA requirements to enhance visitors' experience when visiting our local businesses in our community. The last one is shared parking lots during the on and off season and during events with the schools, churches, and other private businesses to meet any and all parking requirements. We do see some beneficial changes mentioned in the current amendment
a mutually beneficial reciprocal agreements between business and or residential entities to address parking needs would be an addition we would endorse. We encourage you, the town council and the planning commission to take an approach of maintaining the current Article 13 with only minor adjustments to benefit the business community and the town at large. The EDC committee stands ready to assist the town council and planning commission as they move forward to make any modifications to this article. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Alan Griffey.
Welcome.
Alan Griffey, 157 Shelford Lane. Madam Mayor, I'd like to thank you and the council staff for doing what you do. You're here twice a month. You're always here. It's very difficult for me to make these meetings, and I'm here to talk about FAR. And I've written memos, emails, and had them read here. I've spoken on the issue before. I think it is important to address the FAR once again, because even on conforming lots, it's very difficult to build house types that buyers are telling us that they're interested in. For instance, a two-story home, 2,200 square feet, with a two-car garage, adding 400 square feet, takes it to 2,600. We were not allowed to obtain a building permit last year on a very nice lot in Sunset Cove. The lot was 5,800 square feet, but because of the two-car garage square footage was included in the FAR, made it very difficult, and our permit request was rejected for that reason. We have since worked on an alternate plan, and have not been successful in getting that completed yet. But additionally, lots in Classic Shores, for the most part, are 5,000 square feet. If they're not, it's required to be 5,000 square feet. That makes it a conforming lot. On a conforming lot, you cannot build a 2,000 square foot house under the current guideline if you have a built-in garage. Now, if you have a detached garage, you can do that. But that then defeats the area impervious cover. It takes up more square footage. So it is an important issue with that regard to what some believe. And at the last meeting, I was told there was some concern by one or more council members that the citizens of the region are not speaking to FAR. Well, they're talking to builders, and that's why the builders are talking to the town. So I would recommend changing the FAR, allow the town to grow, and build the kind of properties that our buyers are asking us to build. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Eric Nelson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for letting me speak this evening. I live at 1321 Lossing Avenue, and I'm going to speak about a couple of different topics this evening. I was going to talk a little bit about FAR, but Mr. Griffey said most of what I was going to say. But I just wanted to make sure you completely understand the implications of the FAR. First of all, I think I understand the motivation for getting for why this has become an issue of some importance because of the particular house that was built in town. But frankly, there are other ways of addressing that kind of situation. There's another part of the code that relates to any structure should be in conformity with the general appearance of the other houses around it. So that is one way to get around or to get at some of the issues that came up as a result of that one house. But as Mr. Griffey said, one of the things that you're doing with an FAR the way it is now is you are sort of relegating the homes over in Classic Shores to be something less than the houses that you would have in other parts of the town, like for example, the Point. On the Point, the lots are usually about 7,500 square feet, and in Classic Shores, they are typically 5,000 square feet. So you're basically saying that the houses in Classic Shores are going to be relegated to being smaller houses less attractive, with lower, value. So, but he covered most of what I was gonna say. I also wanna, change subjects and talk about, downtown Colonial Beach. As you know, I'm the president of downtown Colonial Beach, and I just wanted to pat ourselves on the back that we are in the very, very final stages of submitting our application for full Main Street status. It will be submitted before the next council meeting, so I wanted to tell you that this is what's happening with downtown Colonial Beach. Also, CB Creative, I wanted to mention that as well. That's the art center that's going to be a couple of doors down here. And we have worked out details with the landlord, and we will probably be occupying that building again before the next council meeting. So I wanted to give you some good news about that too. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right, we have 2 email comments. The first one.
Okay, hold on. Anybody else in the audience? Yeah, come on up. Supervisor Bennett.
Mayor, Town Council, I won't be here at your next meeting, so I'm glad to come up just for a few minutes and say a few things. I didn't realize when I booked my flight that I won't even be at our meeting because that Monday is a holiday. So and I'm flying out on the night of our meeting, which will be the 16th, so it has been changed. It's October the 16th, but for any of you that can go, I did attend today the Chandler Mill Pond Dam dedication. It's full of water again. If you see it, it's beautiful at a price tag of about $11 million. So, you know, the state didn't mention that today, but I asked that at one of our meetings because I knew the first time was around 7 million, and then I don't think they want 5 million, and then, you know, what it costs this time. So it's about $11 million price tag. But it is back full again. And you know, it looks a lot better than no water in there at all, but that actually did belong to DWR. The Department of Wildlife Resources, so they paid for all of that out of their budget. Didn't come from county funds, or taxpayers locally. Obviously, we know it came from taxpayer funds, but, the other thing I wanted to mention, is that the bridge over there in Monroe Bay Circle, they're gonna start working on that around October the 14th. It's gonna be about a 9-month to a year process. They're gonna remove the bridge. So those of us in Colonial Beach, which just about everybody goes over there around that circle, you'll have to go to Holly Vista and go all the way around, probably for the better part of a year. So that will start construction on around October the 14th. Is there anything that anybody wants to ask me while I'm here?
Just to clarify, the bridge that Supervisor Trivens referring to is in Westmoreland Shores, not in the town limits of Colonial Beach, but some of our newer, yeah,
Yes.
some people may confuse that with.
Oh, yeah, no,
or-
And I will tell you what I'm thinking of too, because I have had a lot of calls, and I know some people are upset on Facebook over our not seconding the motion about a turning lane out there past by the drag strip road. At one end of the road, we approved that end of the road, which is this end towards Dalvin. It's gonna take 5 or 6 years for them to even start on that if we get those funds. They're gonna move that turn lane in, is my understanding, so that you can see around it, because of the amount of accidents there. We've asked about, you know, caution lights or traffic light at Hall Store. The last thing in the world that VDOT wants to do, no matter what. They take that survey, and there has to be, you know, unfortunately, a lot of fatalities there before they'll even consider it. To do that turning lane out there by, on this end of the drag strip road, would have been a project of about $7 million. So, you know, I'm not sure what that would have resolved. Is people are gonna keep pulling out. I mean, I don't know how you stop it. You put a light up there and they're gonna pull out. And anybody that's went that way, I can almost bet has had somebody pull out in front of them. It's dangerous. I know the sheriff's office and state police have been trying to monitor that more closely, because we did have a whole ration of accidents out there. You know, in a row. We had that fatality at Hall Store. But you know, it's up to VDOT and, you know, to bring that stuff forward, and they don't have the funding. When I talked to our lead engineer about it, after getting so many calls, he said, you know, to encourage people to call the governor's office, because he would have it in his budget. They don't have it in their budget, but possibly that would be the avenue to follow, to try to get somebody, down at the governor's office to maybe pursue it. Any questions about anything while I'm here?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
When King George was able to get to the stoplight at Teetotal Road, that was after a fatality to one of our residents here. Do you know how they went about that, or if we can learn anything or get any help on how they made that happen?
I think there've been numerous fatalities at that intersection. And they've got something that they do a survey wherever it's at, and it's in that year that they look at. I don't know how far they go back, but those of you that have attended our meetings, you know, David Beal, the head engineer, he's more than willing to help and work with anybody, and I think he's talked to some residents here in town about, you know, Hall Store and some of these intersections, and told them basically what I'm telling you tonight. I don't know how many things occurred out there before they decided to do that. I know there was a big push and, you know, petition and, you know, to make that happen, but you know, there was a lot of accidents there before that finally happened. How many times? Every week that stop sign was wiped out. Somebody hit that guardrail, and even the town, the fire department responded out there frequently to accidents before they finally did something about it. It was, you know, the last fatality that was out there that they did that, so. But I don't know the answer to that question, but David Beal could research it and tell you. If you don't have his information, I mean, I can call him myself and ask him, if he has any information on that, but I talked to him for quite a while the other day because of so many people that's contacted me about those 3 intersections that I spoke of, and, you know, there's just not a clear answer. The county doesn't have $7 million to pay for a turn lane. And, you know, the only other thing we can do is get these grants, and it takes years to do that. Years to apply for. It's a 6-year process to do it before anything even happens. Look at the bridge over, you know, Monroe Circle, how long that's been now. Monroe Bay Circle, that's taken 3 years at least, I think. That bridge has been in place for over a year. It's a process, no doubt about it. But he said they just don't have the money in the budget. That the best thing to do is, if you're gonna do petitions and stuff, do it directly to the governor's office and see if you can get them involved.
And we can't just get a stoplight there.
They do not want to put stoplights anywhere. They've already got a caution light there, but he says, you know, it would take, you know, because they'd have to redo the whole road, you know, longer arms. I asked him those questions, and you know, and I'm sure he would be more than glad to come to your meeting, and maybe speak to the town if you invite him. He comes to our meeting every single month, but he'd be more than glad to probably answer all those questions for you. He's very approachable. He's, you know, but those of us deal with him.
I have one other question, and maybe I missed it. Was there an announcement? Do we have a new county administrator?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
End of the month, there may be an announcement.
Okay, thank you.
That it?
Anything else?
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the
Sorry it took so much time.
Q&A. That's all right. That's good. I'm glad you were able to present today since you can't be here. Our next meeting. All right, anybody else from the audience? We still have several emails. Okay, we'll move on to the emails.
The first one is from Mr. Joe Kelly. He says, hello all. I'm writing to share information I've learned regarding the consideration for increasing the floor area ratio in the R2 district above 0.4 FAR. Below are some findings and facts. In 2023, the FAR discussion at the PC Planning Commission centered around increasing the FAR in the R2 district from 0.4 to 0.8. The Planning Commission found no compelling reason to increase the FAR based on a sample of permits from 2020 to 2022 and no request for variances were found. Staff failed to mention that the average lot size in their sample was 6,739 square feet, when the minimum lot size in the R2 district is 5,000 square feet. Based on this data, the average house was 1,917 square feet. Most of the residential lots in town are R2 and are in the range of 50 by 100 feet, particularly in the numbered streets. On a 5,000 square foot lot, the 1,917 square foot noted above would be a 0.38 FAR. Adding garage would push the FAR to 0.46 and require variance. Staff reported that no variances were requested in their sampling. This conclusion is probably correct, but reflects a lack of understanding of the home building industry. If you go to a home builder and your home design is over 0.4 FAR, a variance will be needed. A variance can cost as much as $5,000 to obtain and delay getting a permit for several months. The cost and delay in obtaining a variance is a deal killer, particularly for younger people looking to make Colonial Beach their home. A home buyer may not be able to get a loan commitment to build a new home because of the uncertainty of getting a variance. Further, construction lenders will not wait 6+ months for a client to obtain a variance and a permit to begin construction. No other jurisdiction in the area has a FAR standard in their residential regulations. Overregulated Fairfax County defines the allowable residential building envelope by height, front, rear, and side yard setbacks and lot coverage. Colonial Beach should do the same. An increase of the R2 district FAR to 0.6 would be a welcome change and a stimulus to adding permanent homes to our community. The end from Mr. Kelly. The next one is from Mr. Knuckles. He said the following should be taken under consideration and read aloud during the public comment section of the October 2nd, 2024 Town Council meeting, joint meeting with Planning Commission. While on one level, it is encouraging to see the Town Council and the Planning Commission get together to discuss issues before the town. I am sorely disappointed to see both the scope and the specific items in the joint meeting you will be having later this evening. The capital improvement plan, which the Planning Commission passed many months ago, is an important document for the town for both the current year and the several years to come. There is yet to be any sufficient explanation as to why the Town Council has yet to get down to the details in discussing line by line what they think needs to be in this document, which roughs out major capital projects in the town. Excuses about staff math errors and trying to say you've sent it back to the Planning Commission for revision are just silly and makes it clear that Town Council doesn't find having an up-to-date CIP to be important. Then again, perhaps Town Council does actually find it to be important, so much so that they do not want to have to put their names down and vote on the specifics in the middle of an election season. Either way, as a resident, I am conveying to you that it is troubling that your homework is so very late this year. This isn't a meaningless academic exercise. Very important topics like capital improvements to or stormwater and sewer systems, which you have routinely underinvested in while you have been in office, and transportation infrastructure, including sidewalks, which have been ignored and now have the town in trouble with the U.S. Department of Transportation, are just the sort of items that should be planned for in an updated capital improvement plan. So I implore you to spend time to not just do an updated plan, but to get it right. And given the limited time you have to do this work on identifying capital priorities, I suggest that things like working on just one small part of our larger parking problems, but ignoring the bigger picture, discussing R4 and the R2 zone, specifically outside of a larger overdue discussion of multifamily housing generally in the town, much less the bigger topic of workforce housing and the Florida area ratio, which the Planning Commission already voted in this very calendar year that they did not want to change. All of those items should postpone until you have a plan on how to systematically address any of them. The current piecemeal approach is insufficient, results in significant delays on meaningful work, and shows a weakness in leadership that I truly hope will be corrected. Our town is too small and our staff too few in numbers to continue to conduct meetings this way. I hope you will do better going forward. Will Knuckles. No.
That's it. Then Gray and Walker submit
No.
emails?
I don't think it was for public comment. I don't.
The only thing I got was just that. The presentation.
I forwarded it to you.
Yeah, that was just the slides.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wish it was a slide deck. Okay. No, that's fine. I guess it's not like it's not like a written comment.
It's just slides.
Okay, anything, that's it then, just those two? All right. Okay, with that, we're gonna take a quick recess so that we can reset the room.
Gotta do the resolution.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Adam,
Trying to skip it.
you're up. I'm not trying to skip that. That one's important too. You're also important.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. In your packet, you should have resolution 3424, speaks about our personal property tax relief. Every year we get an amount of money from the state of $240,316.76. We also then have to add back in all the abatements we did. And the abatements for 2024 were $12,007.91. To get to a reasonable percentage, the town is adding $10.89 to that pot, bringing the total PPTRA to $252,335.56, which will give everyone for $20,000 of assessed value a PPTRA rate of 31.115%. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
This is every year, we do this every year, this
Every
is a mandated state program.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution for the establishment of the PPTRA?
Got a question first.
Yeah, well, let's put a motion in a second. then
So
we'll-
moved.
Got a second?
Second.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Allison.
Adam, what was our percentage for last year?
Last year, our percentage was 30.205%. So our percentage actually went up. That had a lot to do with the fact that our assessments from Westmoreland County went down $1.7 million. That's a big reduction.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Williams?
Okay, so. The taxes, is this the amount that was budgeted for this year's, or fiscal year 25 budget?
So the amount that was budgeted for 25 was $768,674.48. At 100% collection rate, with this tax relief rate, we would collect $852,325.73. We roughly range about between 79 and 80%.
Okay, so this is pretty much what we were budgeting,
It's pretty close.
with the exception of what we may not collect.
It's pretty close.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's all I've had. I can't think of anything else right now, please.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Oh, just, I didn't know we were voting tonight on this, but,
Yeah, I think they have to have the tax rate set so they can bill.
okay.
Yes,
So
exactly.
this is something, I guess it doesn't require kind of public hearing, right?
No, and it's the standard, it's the same state amount every single year. We've done this every.
I don't think anybody objects to them receiving a 31% discount on their taxes.
Yeah, we don't approve it, they don't get the discount.
Thanks, smart. Yeah, we're on.
Okay. You good to go?
Good to go. Your bills will be in the mail.
Oh, great. Well, today was fun, we should have waited. Okay, all right, we're gonna take a quick recess and reset for our planning meeting with the planning commission. Thank you guys, give us 5 minutes, okay? Thank you. Everybody can use the restroom for a second. Ms. Robertson. Okay, and our planning commission is sitting in the front row, fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna reconvene the meeting at exactly 7 o'clock. Go ahead, Ms. Vicky Luna, and welcome our planning commission, please.
Thank you very much. We're very pleased to be here. Wanted to do a roll call and we have 2 members missing, Mr. Mack and Mr. Hutchins, everyone else being present.
Excellent.
So with that, we can be in the meeting.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so, yeah,
Matt is on Zoom.
Oh.
Not Matt, Hutchins is on Zoom, sorry.
Oh.
Bill Hutchins is on Zoom. Okay, only one commission member missing. Is he in?
Yes.
Okay, Hutchins, can you hear us? If you unmute.
Mr. Hutchins, can you hear us?
This is Bill Hutchins. I
We're having a mic
can not
issue.
hear you.
Mr. Hutchins? She's changing the speakers.
Now see. Hello, Mr. Hutchins?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay, so will you hold just your mic up to your computer then? Mr.
Okay.
To our bylaws, we have you to state your name and that you're attending remotely and where you're attending from, please.
William Hutchins. I'm attending remotely from Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, wow.
Glad to have Montana with us today. Okay, all right, so that's in order to have digital input from a member on within the meeting, we have to do that for our bylaws. So thank you very much, Mr. Hutchins. I look forward to you participating.
Thank you.
And Darla is also on Zoom. Okay. Okay, with that, the chair of the planning commission and I put our heads together and we are going to do this work session a little differently than we have done in the past. And we're gonna facilitate the 4 topics in small group discussions. And so we're going to count off and we'll have groups of both planning commission members and council members and a staff member in each category.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I and perhaps other people might have some comments about 1 or more of those topics.
Yes, of
How would
course.
we facilitate that?
Yeah, so let me just finish that, how this is gonna work. Because, once we're gonna spend 20 minutes in small groups. Obviously, all 4 topics are of interest to all commission members and all council members. The goal here tonight is not to, vote on anything, but it is to communicate. And to have both boards hearing input from one another. And so after our small group meetings and breakouts, then each group will represent to the entire body back. And so anybody who has any questions can ask them after the presentations of each group, as each group brings their information and kind of what they brainstormed about in their small group. So there will be opportunity for everyone to hear and participate in all 4, but kind of a deep dive within a small group, which is less formal and hopefully fosters communication and allows people the opportunity to have more robust discussion than the more formal setting here with the gavel and all of that, right? And did I say that right, Vicki? Or okay, excellent. So with that, we just want everybody to participate. And so when you are in your small groups, please do feel encouraged by that. Like I said, a staff member will be in each small group as well. They're not leading the meeting. You guys are leading the meeting, and that is a shared joint responsibility of commission members and council members. And you can elect somebody from within your small group to give the presentation back to council. The 2 questions you know, within the small groups to sort of framework this time together is to describe the issue or concern. And then next steps and who's assigned to that, like who would be responsible for a next step within that. Just those two things, just describing the issue or concern and then what possible next steps there are. It's not an actual vote to make a next step, but it's just a definition of that. Yes, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I've got a question. Do we need to have a vote to suspend Robert's rules?
Yes, would you like to make the motion?
No, I'm just asking if we need it.
I was gonna, motion to suspend Robert's rules of order to do that at this point. Yeah, I just wanted to explain the whole thing first. Okay, so there's a motion to suspend Robert's rules of order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Commission?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, all right. With that, Vicky, you want to start off, we were just gonna kind of randomly count off?
Right, and we'll start with commission first.
Perfect.
Maybe we can start with Mr. Howell.
Okay.
That would be number 1. 2, 3, 4.
Mr. Wood?
One.
No, he's one.
Oh, I'm sorry, two.
3,
4.
One.
3.
4.
Excellent. And there are 4 staff members, Chris, Ben, Darla, and Natasha. So we'll put it, use the 4 corners of the rooms like a quadrant. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 20 minutes for the breakouts, and then we'll come back and do 2-minute presentations. Thank you.
I think 3s are gathering here. 4's over here.
And we're going in order, so 1 is parking, 2 is R4, 3 is bar, and 4 is the idea.
You could use Kristen's chair.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can go with what somebody. Yeah, well, I just remember.
Well, Kristen's here, but I don't know.
On this computer.
3. Hope everybody's groups went well. We'll do the 2-minute presentations. So it's just 2 minutes for each group and some time for Q&A from that. After each one, so we'll go in order again. So group 1.
How's it going, everybody? Bailey Thompson with the Planning Commission, and our group was charged with Article 13 parking. So we identified the issues focused around how economic development opportunities have been lost due to parking requirements. Some of the ideas or steps moving forward, we've looked at more flexible options in a shared use parking system. Protecting historic resources from parking requirements that would diminish the historical integrity. Golf cart parking that counts for your required amount of parking. And then having a uniform standard for the commercial, residential, and resort commercial zoning districts along Colonial and Washington Avenue. We believe the next step is that staff goes forward with some modest edits to the existing Article 13 and then presents the Planning Commission moving forward.
Great job. I know. Sound like you've done that before. Okay, so this is the parking topic. And just want to give opportunity. Yes. Dr. Sullivan.
So, I know you've gotten a lot of feedback from the, Economic Development Committee. There was one thing that I noticed in this, and it's actually not a change, there's a word change in it. But it's, on page 13-1 in our agenda. And we see it's under, I have to go back to find it, I can go back up here. It's general requirements 13-1 under A. Item 4, which used to be item D. It says exclusive of private residential garages, all off-street parking facilities shall be used solely for the parking of vehicles in operating condition, understand that, by patrons, occupants, and employees of the use to which such parking serves. Now, you all know that in this town, on 3 or 4 days a year, we have an extreme parking problem, such as the 4th of July and Bike Fest, and maybe a few other events. And in those cases, I believe churches and other places have provided parking for a fee. The Riverboat, for example, does it on a regular basis, and I feel like this could be prohibiting that, and I'd like to see it addressed.
I think the recommendation, this was the group I was on, was to actually not use the version that was voted on by the commission.
This is not a change. This is something that's in black.
Oh, in the other one.
Yeah, I can't speak directly to this because I'm not the zoning administrator. But yeah, that seems like a very odd change that to park there, you would have to be a patron, an occupant, and an employee to park in that off-street parking. That seems like maybe an error, maybe a mistype, can't speak to that, but I think moving forward, we wouldn't want to make that change to.
Even so, these big parking lots that are on private property, we should allow for them to rent out those spaces during events where that excessive parking is a problem here in town. And I feel like that's something that we didn't even talk about previously. It's not, they left it in there basically.
So you add it into the notes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Williams.
Yeah, I've got a question. You said recommend forward with modest updates. Is that saying scrapping everything that the planning commission already did, or is that taking everything the planning commission already did and modest updates to that?
Of course, yeah, we don't want to forget about all the work the planning commission is. We're not throwing it in the trash. But I think take contributions that we've had, conversations that we had, and just build upon those and come back with modest edits using both the conversations we had and the conversations we've had tonight.
Okay, and do you have any specific suggestions? Did you guys come up with anything specific? Or is it just sending it back to you all with another look?
I don't think we didn't come up with specific language, but just the different ideas on how to incorporate shared parking plans, protecting historical resources, golf cart parking, and then a uniform standard along Colonial and Washington. So I think that would be kind of our main focus is advising staff to come back with modest edits along those ideas.
To the ordinance that is currently in place.
And so would we as a council at our next, not maybe next meeting, but another meeting, kind of give our suggestions, and then planning commission would look at it again with those suggestions and other public feedback, and then
Yeah, I
get a
think
final product
We're
voted?
just getting the wrap up of what happened at the breakout groups and feedback from this, and then we can make actions at a future meeting. Did you have any other suggestions? Okay. Anybody else? We wanna move to group 2? No? Who's on group 2? Okay.
All right. So group 2, was talking about, high density housing. Part of that article was for a R4 district, which we don't currently have. Part of our issues is that, one, there's no R4. We do not have a, designated, area where R4 could be. We came up with, some light suggestions of like the number of streets, specifically, the undeveloped, 10th, 11th Street, 13th, 14th Street areas. Part of that is, to do the development of a high density, we're talking, duplex, quadplex, townhome, condo, apartments, anything high density, obviously. One of the main issues we have there is, how do we identify that or limit the cost of, infrastructure, for the builders to make it more affordable? Kind of the purpose of this high density thing is to make it a little bit more affordable for people to purchase these, homes. So some of the topics we came up with that is if the town is involved in those scenarios, we can look at things like discounts to the builders, such as tap fees, permit fees. Look at potentially like a builders alliance where multiple builders would come together to work together to build something like that, to really help with the cost control. We obviously know that the builders need to make a profit or they wouldn't be in business. So we kind of have to understand that scenario. Next steps would be looking at one, cost control for town fees, develop or what we had described before, like workforce housing, try to identify the median house income, so we can identify the range we're looking at to sell these particular properties. Obviously, we need to identify where the R4 or R2A district areas would be. We would also need to look at, if we were looking at specific areas such as the number of streets, 10th, 11th, 13th, 14th streets, we would have to identify infrastructure costs. Typically, when we have a subdivision, the developer would bring the cost of that, kind of like the Sunset Cove area where they put in the streets and stuff like that. If it's obviously there's multiple owners currently on the 9th, 10th, 13th, 14th Street. So there's no real subdivision there. So, the town would have to look at how that infrastructure would have to be built in order to see if it's even cost effective. That's about all I have.
Okay, is there any feedback for group 2? Yes, I'm gonna go to this side first, Mr. Williams.
I was just gonna ask that if there was a way we can kind of give a quick definition, like as far as what we discussed it, what do y'all think of as this type of development? Is it typically clusters of houses similar to like Riverwood or the apartments over on 12th Street, or is it different scales? Like, what are we looking at if we entertain approving something like this or developing R4 district since it's not in existence.
Yeah.
This-
I come Karen and then I see Mr. Wood and then I'll go.
It's something we can get in the future, I'm just, you know.
Yeah.
bring it up.
I think that's added to me to, the next steps. What I heard was there's a lot of research to do, so maybe that's a part of that research. Yes.
My concern, both R4 would solve the problems putting duplexes, small townhouse units where you could have 4 units, but you're still talking about single family units. And my concern is we need a place in town to do multifamily units. So the apartments at the end of 12th Street on the highway, that's a multifamily unit. It's owned by one person and they rent out to different units. It's the same thing with Riverwood. It's owned by one corporation and they rent out the units. That's different from having things like which can be owned by 2 different people. Townhouses can be owned by a bunch of different people. But I just want to make sure that in your discussions that you think about multifamily housing, whether it's a small apartment building or condominiums. Condominiums would mean ownership, so that's still single family ownership, but multifamily housing where you have one owner and that owner rents out units.
Mr. Wood?
Yeah, I think what, as you can hear, there are a lot of questions to have answered before we even move forward with it. Definition of exactly what it is, ways to guarantee that if the goal is to make sure that our town workers and so forth can afford housing, get things being in place so that it'll stay that way, right? And so, and also the idea that we would have to build roads to those particular areas unless, of course, that was something the builders would do. So we're at the very nascent stages of this, and it doesn't mean it's not a worthwhile goal to pursue, but there are a whole lot of questions before we make any progress.
What I heard from that was as a part of that research would be how to guarantee positive results.
Mhm.
Anybody from the commission on that one? All right, we'll move to, oh, I'm sorry, Hutchins, was there somebody online? Hutchins is online, so did they want to add anything? Did Hutchins want to add anything? I think Hutchins was in group.
He was with us, yeah.
Okay. All right, we want to move to group 3.
All right, I'm group 3 and we discussed FAR. This may be of the 4 kind of topics we talked about, one that needs to be the most flushed out. Between R2 and R4, we decided that we need to really look at the density issues. Obviously we don't have R4 yet, but we still need to continue to look at the density issues. Planning Commission and Vicky said they can look at those and get back to us. In the past, there may have been some issues because the FAR may not have been enforced. Builders have expressed issues with the FAR and want to be able to, possibly build a bigger home on a smaller lot. We understand that, but we've had a lot of builders and local builders come to us with those concerns. Also, there seems to be some confusion within some of the FAR definitions. It appears that detached garages are not included in the FAR. And if I'm saying it incorrectly, Ms. Luna or Mr. Williams, please correct me. It's not included in the FAR, but attached garages are. Thanks for the thumbs up. So there's just a lot to flush out here. We were asking, is there, maybe citizens, have spoken out against the FAR? Is it because it's, maybe multi-family homes that they didn't want to see here, or they don't want to see the, I don't know, I keep thinking, outer bank style homes here, they don't want to see. What exactly are the concerns for the citizens? So we need to really figure that out. And I hate to bring up the bad word, but we have to really think about infrastructure as well. We are building, and we need to keep that in the back of our mind. So again, this is just our what we kind of threw together and decided we definitely need a lot more time to work this out, and we think that the planning commission and builders should meet once again to really kind of see, really hear from each builder in town to see what their struggles are as far as even permitting goes, and zoning.
Okay, yes, Mr. Wood?
Couple of questions. One is going to be to the planning commission. And Ms. Luna, maybe you can address this. You voted on it once, okay? Is the real issue with the FAR as it stands the garage issue? Because honestly, that seems to me, it's kind of ridiculous that a detached garage is more punitive than a garage, or vice versa. Or that an attached garage is more punitive than a detached garage. And if that's the primary focus for looking for the change in the FAR, that's one thing that we could get to fairly easily. But is there an additional concern other than that? And Ms. Luna, could I ask you to address that? Because I know you voted on it before.
Yes, and I think that we were really looking at it in terms of the holistic approach to examining the FAR. So essentially, when the staff put together a report for us back in October, they did a sampling of 25 houses randomly, and they determined that none of them exceeded the FAR. Then the staff report also said that no builders had come in and no applications had been received for building higher than 0.4. So we looked at the fact that, we had testimony come in. We did ask at that time for a roundtable with builders, but it got, I think it was a very busy time. And so I think the benefit would be for us to step back a little bit and have a chance to meet with the builders and really analyze how it would impact. We looked at examples in our little group just now of 3 houses that are on Dandridge. And they're very lovely houses, but they're big in relation to the lot. They're not exceeding the FAR, but it's hard to imagine that those houses being any larger than they are. And of course, if we increase the FAR even to 0.6, then those houses could be bigger. So we just want to see and have a chance to really reflect on what it would mean, what it would look like, and take our time to look at that.
That makes sense to me. Just one last question, if I may. The difference between the attached garage and the non-attached garage, is that something that the planning commission might be able to support? That change, and that change?
I can't speak for the planning commission.
Okay, fair enough.
But I can say we can look at that.
Okay.
Because I think that, the houses can be built on a 5,000 square foot lot, 2,000 square foot home can be built.
Right.
Now, if we had a garage separate from that, then there could be over the impervious coverage.
Right.
There are accommodations that builders can do though to address that concern. So I mean, there's more depth to the issue.
Gotcha.
It sounds like the next step was a builders and commission roundtable.
Yes, we've.
And I can help facilitate, not that I want to be in your way, but if you want me to come, just to be there for 5 months, like I know Mr. Williams goes to meetings, whatever I can do.
Absolutely, I think it would be helpful, and so that we could hear exactly what constraints that builders are experiencing. And how many applications are they denying,
Right.
that they can't build?
Or not.
I think, right. We want to be business
Dr. Sullivan, make sure I understand.
I think the report that staff put together was flawed. Number one, builders were trying to submit plans that met the FAR, right? And so what the discussion was between the builder and the person, the homeowner, the future homeowner, as to what they could and couldn't build on the lot. And so they either got a lot or whatever. But the 3 points. One question is for Darla. is it okay in your ordinances to have a different FAR for a house with a garage and a different FAR for 2 stories than for 1 story? And my question is, you're looking at footprints really, and there are plenty of little 2-story houses that look really cute, little 1.5-story houses that look really cute. But they may exceed the FAR because the square footage of the house is on 2 different levels, even though they're well within the lot coverage. And so I think if it's okay to have an exception that says, okay, the FAR is 0.4. If you have a attached garage, you can deduct that from the calculations for the FAR. Or if in other words, I want to know what's legal as far as doing
So
that.
there is a way to define the FAR to not include garages. That is a possibility. But I think the roundtable discussion with the builders is a great idea.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think then you're gonna be able to flesh out better, like, I think adding more layers of regulation to this is further confusing. I missed that maybe, yeah,
But
because
I
they
don't see-
didn't, several builders didn't even know what the acronym FAR meant. And I'm not saying that because they're not educated or anything like that, but because it was not a general term in residential construction.
And
Period,
one
anywhere.
thing, I mean, I was in those meetings there were meetings with the builders. There were meetings with builders and staff, and I think somebody from the planning commission was there too, maybe Nate. But so we've had discussions with the builders and nothing seemed to come out of it. So I think having the discussion between the planning commission and the builders directly would be very useful, because these are all things that make no sense to me. And I had some experience from a previous career with residential homes and builders. And it just didn't really make sense that you could put a big old 2-car garage on the back of your lot, but if you touched your house, then it counted against the house you could build.
And that is what Ms. Luna had said that she's open to. So we'll ask for an
And
answer.
the commission can take it up, and in terms of the flawed, staff report, I think we can refine that.
Right, and
I found it very helpful in a lot of ways, with a visual of what it would look like on the size of the house in relation to 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. And so, there are tools I think that we can use to improve that staff report and go back and revisit it.
And to your point, this isn't about the past, this is about moving forward to the future, right? And of course, it's not perfect because we're having this conversation tonight. But we're having this conversation and we're going to move forward, so.
Is there anything else on FAR? Yes, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, just a couple of points. I was involved in a lot of that. A constituent had approached me and was very concerned about the Bancroft house, which is like a 0.8 farm, so pretty extreme. But in all the research I did, I actually went through as many of the county records of the last 2 years of houses that I could find that were built and calculated on my own in the house square footage and the lot size and dividing it and subtracting, because if it's not finished square footage, if it's like a porch or something, it's not in the farm. So you literally have a gigantic porch. As long as it meets the 36% impervious coverage, it mitigated, it's still all right. The only thing I want to mention with the garage, because it is kind of one thing that at least stuck out in my mind, is take a house, like on the Crystal group, she's got 3 houses over by her, it's not far from either. If you look at those 3 houses, they fit, but they fit. So just imagine shoving 400 more square feet to that and out or bulking it up. So then you got, that does make an impact. So my suggestion is when this does get addressed overall, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be increased, the builders, but also we got to take the impacts of the neighborhood into consideration and what the bulk of the house means to all the people around it. Because the tighter they get, we're not in, but we're sort of like little neighborhood. We're not in the city where we're crammed. So gets tight. This is my 2 cents.
Well, that's also regulated by the setbacks that we have within the housing in our ordinances. So you can have 5 foot on one side, 10 foot on the other, setback from the road, that kind of stuff. So that would handle that portion of it to not be oversized for.
But I'm saying, take a house, 2,000 square feet, and shove 400 square feet more into it. It's gotta go somewhere, up, back, wherever, because maybe they're not meeting the set, or maybe they're, I don't know how you can do it. Obviously, you may have to go up in that case, because 400 feet might not fit there. Setbacks, I mean, I agree, setbacks are definitely a factor.
One of the things I think that we're seeing here is for my lifetime, there have been a lot of undeveloped lots. We call them infill lots now. You know, you walk down any street and you see these houses pop up and you didn't even realize there's an empty lot there. And that's what makes it look a lot more crowded than it did at one point in time. The front, they're pretty packed, right? The front on the beach, on Monroe Avenue, the front, on even in the numbered streets, they're in there pretty tight. Go back on those side streets, and I mean, it seemed like every time I rode down a side street, there's another house popping up on a lot that I didn't realize was a lot. And that is maybe, people are saying, oh my gosh, if I've had constituents call me and say, they cut down all the trees. Where are the birds and the deer gonna go? Well, it's a lot, it's been there. Those trees have grown since they bought the lot. And the trees can be removed to build a house on a lot. So there's a balance between property rights and neighbor rights that you have to look at.
And in that, I will be a blessing for council, and I will say that if you would like to wrap up number 3, we can do that. I don't want to get off topic. I want to keep it on topic for the rest of council and citizens. I think the next action, Ms. Luna, will be to meet the builder. And if you let myself and David, Mr. Williams know, I'm more than happy to help facilitate.
Sound good? Mr. Christensen?
I just want to make one comment. I wish I could speak with authority on this, but I spent quite a bit of time looking through things. First of all, I don't think FAR is defined in our ordinances. I don't know why. I assume Darla is not on this.
She's on the.
She's on Zoom. Well, then she might be able to answer the question of the garages. That's the way our planning defines FAR, is that if it's an attached garage, that it has to count as part of the FAR. If it's a detached garage, it doesn't have to prove. But is that something that a municipality can even determine? It might be a state regulation. I searched all over the place, but because everybody looks at how a realtor looks at it, and a realtor says, of course, the garage doesn't count in the square footage of the house, even if it's attached. So I'm just saying that I'm guessing that our planning department will really be able to shed more light on that. But yeah, I want to point out that when the planning commission looked at this subject, you know, it was a 3-2 vote. 4-3. My math is on pot. But anyway, my point is that you know, I'd like to be more look at it a little more carefully. But the use of past statistics is not necessarily pertinent, I don't think. And also realize that this town was built with no garages, and then we started having cars, and there was one detached garage was the common situation. Now, yeah, people who come here, they probably want a 2-car garage. Even though I know that many garages are filled with a lot of things except for cars, but and that may be one of the reasons that the attached garage counts in the FAR. And I'm just speculating, but you know, because they know that people are gonna put stuff in there and not cars. But anyway, that's just some thought I had. The main thing I'm saying is that our planning department could probably research this and find out. I don't know if it's possible for us to change that, so the.
It is, yeah, but I think the next step of having a roundtable with the builders and the commission seems like everybody seems quite agreeable to that. So. Yeah, so more things will still get fleshed out and there will still be more opportunity to talk with staff and for more citizen input as well. All right, we'll go to CIP, group 4. Welcome.
So, the issue with CIP is, the planning commission didn't really feel like they got feedback, so we were a little unclear about what we were supposed to address. So anyway, Natasha said she actually does have some feedback from all of you, and if you can forward that on to us, then the planning commission can take a look at that. And we also maybe would stick to 2024, even though it's a little late in the game, for the purpose of kind of clearing it up and getting a process that has a feedback loop between the two of us so that we can move forward to 2025. And I think for me personally, that also was made clear to me that while our list is somewhat aspirational, at the same time, it's also a place to keep placeholders for, you know, large investment projects that we need to pursue at some point, whether it's this year, next year, or somewhere in the future. And obviously allocating dollars when you have 4 or 5 years on there gives it some priority of when the planning commission feels it should be addressed. And then if the town council can, you know, if we can get it going so that we get some feedback, so we know what projects are really being pursued, you know, then that will help us going forward. Did I miss anything, Natasha?
Great. Any comments on, I don't know.
I thought you
Please,
said
please,
that.
yeah. Julius, go ahead.
Oh, yes, I was just curious, so Natasha said that you have feedback, because I was supposed to get feedback from council.
Well, with the feedback that you. Yes, what I mentioned is that you had forwarded some feedback, so that's what.
Okay. And mainly it was just me suggesting potential cuts, and then, what I gathered from our council meeting where there was subtotals and things like that. I'm wondering, I don't know if you guys got into it or not in the discussion, but to me, it almost feels like we should just readdress it as a council at our next meeting. Just make some cuts if we want to make some cuts or not, and just fix the totals and then just pass it and move on. Because I know you guys are really going to be getting, next month will be your next meeting in November. You'll be getting in probably deep into the next CIP, won't you?
Yes, we will, and we need to be starting that pretty soon. I guess I don't understand the concept of cuts.
Oh, when I say cuts, I mean, like, council said they wanted to send it back. I don't know if council, if we can discuss that now or not, but does council have the desire to make any cuts, like take out the municipal center or remove this or that or not?
Okay, yes, Dr. Sussman.
We had quite a bit of discussion, the public hearing, and that discussion should be in our minutes. And so what happened was the planning commission, we did not vote on it. We said, you know, send it back to the planning commission, and there are notes in the minutes. There are additional notes that Robin had submitted and that you had submitted, and the planning commission has not seen those. So we sent it back saying, these are the things we have concerns about. The planning commission in our town has always been the one that drafted the CIP. I understand that's not the way it's done everywhere, but that would be following our protocol. And they're, you know, they can say, no, we don't want to deal with this, and send it back to us, then we can deal with it. But I think following our procedure that I've been involved for the past 4 years, the appropriate thing would be to do as this group had decided, that would be the next steps, is to make sure that they have all of those comments and they look at it, and then they either make changes and send it back to us, or don't make changes and send it back to us, and then we can take action.
It sounds like to me the commission is interested in the comments, and we did have a robust discussion publicly. I don't have further comments than what I said in public, because I said it for a purpose in the public meeting, so.
And they got the comments, I sent them to them.
No, they did not get, the planning commission did not get the comments.
Vicky Lewis got them.
No, we haven't. I haven't seen them.
I handed to you in a piece of paper.
Oh,
In that
sorry.
email,
I thought it would have been included in the packet,
and it was emails.
so.
Okay.
I apologize if you gave it to me and I didn't get it, but I look for that, in the packet itself.
Well, in the
Okay.
last meeting, they basically said, I mean, this is Commissioner Mack, I think, I don't know if it was a consensus or not. But the only thing they were interested in doing was looking at the clerical stuff, like the subtotals and some of that stuff, which Darla admitted that the staff could fix themselves without.
Yeah, but they did not get our comments, they did not get our feedback, and it sounds like they want our feedback, so.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I swear that they got it, okay.
Mr. Wood, did you have something?
Yeah, I did want to ask Ms. Tucker a question, and if I'm hearing the two of you correctly, at this late stage, as far as the CIP, it's your recommendation we roll with what we have for 2024 and
No.
begin the discussions.
That's not what I heard.
Okay, well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, so, in our discussion, it felt that it was prudent to send back to the planning commission the comments and the feedback, that was given, and have them make a determination on that as we start, the 25 CIP.
Thank you.
I thought it was a very good summary, Pat, honestly, yeah.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay. Bailey, did you have something?
Yeah, I guess just kind of thinking about the CIP, it's, I mean, to bring it into modern terms. To bring it into modern terms, the budget's kind of like our president, and the CIP is kind of like our vice president. It's not the biggest dog in the yard, but it's pretty important. I'll be a little favoritism. If you look at the City of Fredericksburg CIP, each item has a narrative. It's each its own little block. So when a citizen reads like item 13, beach and riprap nourishment, I don't even know what riprap really means. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't think, I mean, these departments are submitting requests for these items to be put into the CIP. I think maybe if we can add a narrative to each one, just few sentences explaining each one, that'll help clarify what sand filter removal has, where that happens, what it happens, that kind of thing. Just moving forward, maybe on the next one, just narratives.
So maybe in 2024, just move forward, but 2025 become more narrative. Love that idea. Okay. Did you have more, Pat? Okay. All right, with that, you wanna close, Ms. Luna?
Yeah, I guess if there's no further discussion, we can go ahead and adjourn our meeting.
Excellent, and council will adjourn at 8:17 PM. Thank you very much.